Here we have a SAT math problem. Okay, let's go to the question. The numbers A, B, C, P and W are positive constants where B is greater than C. The number A is 1150% more than the positive difference between B and C is 50% of B. If A is P% greater than C and C is W% of A, what is the value of P times W? Okay, now let me consider this particular information. That is the number A is 1150% more than the positive difference between B and C. Okay, that is A equals to 1150% more than the positive difference. Then we have to add this value to 100. That is 100 positive 1150%. Since we have the information 1150% more than, we add this value to 100% times we have to take the positive difference between B and C. We know that B is greater than C, that is B is bigger and C is smaller. Now to get the positive difference between B and C, we have to subtract the smaller value C from the bigger value B. That is B negative C represents the positive difference between B and C. Okay, here I have written the statement, that is a number A is 1150% more than the positive difference between B and C. Okay, now let me continue in the next step. When I add this one and this one, I am getting 1250% times B and C. Okay, now what we can do is we can convert this percentage to decimal. For that, we have to divide this value 1250 by 100. When I do so, I am getting 12.5, that is 12.5 times B negative C. Okay, now let me consider the other information. That is C is 50% of B. Okay, let me write it out here. C is equal to 50% of B. Okay, here C equals to, we can write this 50% as a decimal. For that, we have to divide this 50 by 100. When I divide 50 by 100, I am getting 0.5 times B. Because when we have the word way of in math, it can be considered as multiplication. Then we have 0.5 times B. Okay, now let's solve for B in this equation. For that, we have to divide both sides of the equation by 0.5. Okay, let me do it. Then this 0.5 will cancel out. C divided by 0.5 can be written as 1 divided by 0.5 times C equals to B. When I divide 1 by 0.5, I am getting 2. That is 2C equals to B. Okay, here I got the value of B in terms of C, that is B equals to 2C. Okay, now what we can do is we can plug in this 2C for B over here to simplify this equation further. Then I'm getting A equals to 12.5 times 2C. I just plugged in 2C for B over here, negative C. Then I'm getting A equals to 12.5. When I simplify this one, 2C negative C is just C. Okay, here I got the value of A in terms of C, that is A equals to 12.5 times C. Okay, now what we can do is we can consider the other information, that is A is P% greater than C. Okay, that is A equals to P% greater than means we have to add P to 100. 100 positive P percentage times this value, that is C. Okay, then we get A equals to, we can write this percentage as a fraction, that is 100 positive P divided by 100 times C. Okay, here 100 is the common denominator for 100 and positive P. Now we can split up this stuff. That is A equals to 100 divided by 100 positive P divided by 100 times C. Okay, A equals to, when I simplify this one, I am getting 1. And here we can write this P over 100 as 1 over 100 times P times C. Okay, A equals to 1 positive. When I simplify this 1 over 100, I am getting 0.01 P. Everything is multiplied by C. Okay, now we can consider the other information over here. That is C is W percentage of A. Let me write it over here. C is equal to W percentage of A. C is equal to, we can write this W percentage as a fraction, that is W over 100. And for Y of we can consider multiplication, that is times A. C is equal to, we can write this W over 100 as 1 over 100 times W times A. And the value of this 1 over 100 is 0.01 times WA. Okay, here I got the value of C. Now what we can do is we can plug in this value for C over here in this equation. Okay, let me take this equation and let me plug in this stuff for C over here. Then I'm getting A equals to 1 positive 0.01 P times 0.01 WA. We find A on both sides of this equation. Let me divide both sides of this equation by A. This A will cancel out. Here A will cancel out. I'm getting 1 on the left side. Now we can distribute this 0.01 times W to each term over here inside the parenthesis. When I distribute this one to 1, I'm getting 0.01 W. Okay, when I distribute this one to this, first I have to multiply this 0.01, 0.01, then I'm getting 0.0001 P times W. Okay, here in this equation, our aim is to get the value of this P times W. To get the value of this P times W, still we need the value of the unknown constant W. How do you have to get the value of this W? For that, what we can do is we can plug in this stuff 0.01 times WA for C in this equation. Okay, let me plug in A equals to 12.5. And for C, we got the stuff for 0.01 times WA. Let me plug in over here. That is 0.01 times WA. Okay, now let me continue over here. A equals to, when I multiply this 12.5 and 0.01, I am getting 0.125 times WA. My aim is to get the value of W. So let me divide both sides of this equation by 0.125 times A. Okay, now let me do the same thing on the left side, 0.125 times A. Okay, here the 0.125, 0.125 will cancel out, and here A will cancel out. Here A goes into A 1 times, and here A goes into A 1 times. I am getting 1 over 0.125 on the left side. On the right side, we have W. Okay, when I divide this 1 by 0.125, I am getting 8. On the right side, we have W. Okay, here I got the value of W, that is W equals to 8. Okay, now what I can do is I can plug in this value 8 for W over here. Then I'm getting 1 equals to 0.01 times 8 positive 0.0001 P times W. Okay, 1 equals to, when I multiply this one and this one, I'm getting 0.08 positive 0.001 PW. Okay, now we have to solve for PW in this equation. Now let me erase this stuff and continue the problem. Now let me take this equation as it is. That is 1 equals to 0.08 positive 0.0001 PW. As I said earlier, we have to solve for P times W. For that, we have to isolate this one. Okay, first let me get rid of the 0.08. For that, we have to subtract 0.08 from both sides of the equation. Okay, let me do it. Then the positive value, negative value will cancel out. When I simplify this one, 1 negative 0.08, I'm getting 0.92. On the right side, we have 0.0001 PW. Okay, since our aim is to solve for PW, we have to get rid of this value. Okay, now let me divide both sides by 0.0001. Okay, let me do the same thing on the left side as well. Okay, here this one will cancel out. When I divide 0.92 by 0.0001, I'm getting 9,200. On the right side, we have P times W. Okay, here I got the value of P times W. Its value is 9,200.